Hooday, Bengal fans. He is Eric. I am Jake. Mon could not be with us tonight. This is the Bengals Pulse, the heartbeat of our Cincinnati Bengals. As I said before, Mon could not be with us tonight, but I know he will be watching. So, Mon, we appreciate everything you do for the show and wish you were here with us. Eric, it is bye week. And we have got a very, very special episode of the Bengals Pulse on the bye week. Everybody else is chilling and taking a break. The Bengals Pulse is not. And the gentleman that we are going to be bringing on here in just a minute is not as well. He is the senior writer for Bengals.com, a friend of the show. It really doesn't need any introduction. I mean, this guy, when you think of Bengals, you think of him at the top of the list. He has been so great to us and so generous to our show, and we love having him on. What else can I say? I mean, the man, the myth, the legend, Geoff Hobson.
More myth and legend.
No way.
But it's good to see. Hey, it's good to see you guys. I'm sorry to miss Mon, but I tip my hat to him if he's watching. And congratulations to Jake for winning the state crown, and hopefully that karma will leak into December 1st against the Steelers. And Eric, the Rocket Man, has saved the day again, technology wise.
Hey, we got it. Yeah, we had a little technology issues getting going here. It was much like the Bengals season, but hey, we were able to get on air, so that means that I believe that the Bengals can pull it up too. So
I don't think getting on air is any problem with them.
No, it's not. They've been on air a lot.
Yeah, they have.
They've been on air a lot.
Pretty good numbers.
Jeff, we know you're busy, and man, I can't even tell you how much we appreciate this tonight. Thank you so much for coming on and joining us. And obviously, Jeff, I don't think any of us had this on our bingo card, that we would be sitting here coming out of the bye week at 4-7. This roster, obviously extremely talented. We're seeing that from a lot of our star players. But with this team being 4-7 and still really not out of it yet, right? There's still a chance, right? It's what is that, Dumb and Dumber, where he's like, you're saying there's a chance. There's still a chance that this team still can get into the playoffs. Obviously, they're gonna have to make a serious run here these last 6 games. And really, as a football coach, Jeff, I hate saying this, but it's hard not to, right? I mean, this team is 3 or 4 plays away from being 8-3. I mean, you can seriously say that, right, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and and of course, then there's the opposite of it. Well, they didn't make them, so, and
yeah,
you are who you are, right? Bill Parcells, your record is your record. And I just don't know, Coach. It's a good question. I hear the argument. Well, they're just not good enough. The players just aren't good enough. And then I look out there and I see that they're what you just said. They're about a hangnail away from 8-3. So somebody's playing.
Yeah,
somebody's playing well enough to have them in these games. And granted, it's they're not the Cowboys, okay, who maybe should be having those discussions. So I fall in the camp of. I think they've got the talent. Now, obviously, they've got some holes, but, they've performed. I mean, if you take the second half, in L.A., they beat anybody, right? They give up 10. They give up 10 points and they score 3 touchdowns.
Agreed.
So so those are the same guys that are playing when they're getting blown out by Philly. So I don't know. I don't really have I think I'm in a long line of people that really don't have an answer.
Right. And I think too, obviously there's still very strong leadership on this football team. And, you can obviously, we can see the disappointment in the players as fans. Obviously, these guys are competitors, and you wouldn't want it any other way, right? I mean, there would be a serious issue if these guys were not upset about where they are right now. What's the mood like in the building? I mean, you're there on a daily basis. What's the mood like with the players? I mean, is this still a team that is going to make a serious run here? I know Germaine came out and said he guarantees a win against the Steelers. Is this team are they still in it?
Oh, I mean, the numbers say they are. What is it? Depending on who you read, it's 18%, 12%, 14%. Obviously, probably got to run the table. I mean, and that still might not do it, but they can run the table. I mean, if you look at who they're playing, and I mean, I think that they're pissed. I think what you saw in LA was, that's a reflection of, there's nobody thought they'd be here, particularly them, and so they're pissed. And I think they played like that in the second half. To me, they played like the guys are pissed. And,
Agreed.
and I think that that will, the last touchdown drive withstanding for the Chargers. But I think if that's that's how they come out and play, which I think they probably will, because there's guys like Burrow and Chase and Hendrickson who their best players seem to be also their most passionate. So, or among the most passionate. They're all passionate, right. I think. But obviously, maybe because the camera's always on Burrow, Chase, and Hendrickson, maybe that's why we see it. But you saw Pratt, you saw these guys getting some people's faces, and I think they're. It's like you said. I mean, this is a proud bunch. I mean, they're only 2 years removed from going to the AFC Championship game. 3 years removed from coming within a Logan Wilson flag of winning the whole thing. So, of which I look at the things that weren't called last night, and I always keep going back to the Logan State great coverage. But to answer your question, I do think that there's some they still have got a lot of competitive juices left.
Agreed.
Yeah, for sure. And I saw some things on the sideline, maybe because it was national TV or whatnot, but I saw some things on the sideline that we haven't seen in the past. Germaine Pratt getting vocal with players, and maybe some of those people are stepping up to be more vocal and be leaders. Like, we lost a lot of leaders. We lost Mixon, we lost TJ Reader. So maybe it just, they need that someone to step up and help these young guys out. So I was encouraged by that.
Yeah. I thought, Pratt's got the C on his chest for a reason. And I think, I always wonder about that. But I think, does winning produce leadership, or does leadership produce winning? And I think that this team has proven, I think, down through the years that they've got something, because, in the previous 2 years, they've really overcome. They overcame a bad start in 2022, and they won their last 10 games. Mm-hmm. And last year, they really, if their defense had played average, they get into the playoffs with their backup quarterback. So, so I think this team does. I think, Eric, this team does have something. They've got they've got the stuffing. You know what I mean? They've got championship stuffing.
So that's a good transition, perfect transition to my next question. That I kind of get a little crap for being the homer. I always believe that no matter what, the Bengals are going to pull it out. To which I don't look at my texts. I try not to go on Twitter or anything, because it gets a little passionate in there. But all good stories these days, or recipes for good stories, kind of follow a hero's journey, where you've got a flawed hero that goes through trials and tribulations, and then he's down and out. And just when you think he's about to be knocked out, he turns it around and wins it all. I believe, it's still right there for us. The AFC is very, very gettable. And if we go on a run, if we win it out, I believe that this still could be the season. And to me, it just sets up, I could come back on December 2nd and be completely wrong, but to me, this sets up for the greatest story ever told. Bengals winning it all. I wanted to get your opinion as a writer. Do you think of writing those stories at the end of the season? Can you see that playing out, or do you not let yourself go there yet?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think as a writer, that's what you're hoping for. I mean, you're hoping for a story like that because that's what great drama that is, and it just, I just talked to the Netflix guy. I'm doing a story on the Netflix series starts, the Hard Knocks, the AFC North. They're in here getting set up for taping that, for their work that begins on Monday. And to your point, Eric, that's, they're looking for the same things you're looking for, those storylines. And I also think, too, it's an important month. I mean, in a lot of ways, but I think a big thing is the division. I think, they're still looking to kind of put their footprint in the division. And, 2 games against Pittsburgh, a game against Cleveland. They really let the two, they had Baltimore beat twice,
Yeah.
And so it's really, I think to me, whether they make the playoffs or not, a big month for to reestablish their footprint in the division and, find a way to beat Pittsburgh and to sweep Cleveland. And, this is things they're going to have to do to, get back in the mix. It's between this year and last year, they've got 2 division wins. So,
yeah,
they've got to, they got a chance to win 3 in this month, which would be, 3 and, 3, they got 3 chances to win the division the rest of the way. And that'd be a great way to go into next season, no matter whether they get the playoffs or not.
Yeah, agreed.
Sure.
I mean, I do think, and I think too, the beating Pittsburgh twice obviously would be huge, and beating the Browns twice. I mean, I know the Browns are down,
right,
but that team has had our number, right? I mean, that's been something that Joe Burrow and the rest of those guys, I'm sure, are trying to get that off their back. But you throw in a game against the Broncos and a game against the Titans. I mean, there's still a lot of AFC games left. I mean, again, we talked about it. If you can win out these last 6, that'd be 5 AFC wins to throw onto that conference record. They're still in it, right? I mean, they're chasing the Broncos right now anyway, so they're still in this thing.
Yeah. They're very much in it. I mean, they're very much in it for the 7th. They might need a little help, but they can. I mean, if they I think I saw another thing that said, and you can really kill yourself with all. I mean, the only thing that's missing is John King and the Magic Wall. But if they win 6 straight, I think there's a 94% chance they get in.
Yeah.
Which is everybody's saying, oh my God, if they win 6 straight, everybody starts thinking about 86 and some of these seasons where they did win 10 games and didn't get in. But Burrows said it a month ago, right? He said 10 gets you in. Yeah. And I think back then he was saying we got to win 7 or 9.
Yeah.
So now they're probably at a they probably got to go. Probably got to run the table, particularly particularly in the division.
Yeah.
Yeah. As Bengals fans, we beg for these seasons. We're so talented. It'd be nice to have a boring season where you just stroll into that 1 or 2 seed, but they don't do that to us. They gotta make our hearts beat. Speaking of strolling in and into the playoffs, we actually got Mon here. Mon was able to join us.
Mon.
Hey, how's it going? Hey, Geoff, how are you? How's the 5th Beatle? How's Paul and Ringo?
I don't know. They're not talking to me anymore.
Oh, come on. They cut you out of the royalties? You're a billionaire. Come on.
That's right. I was going to say I'm Billy Preston, but I'm who really was the 5th Beatle, Billy Preston.
That's true. I saw. Yeah, I've heard that. But I think you are. You're the 5th Beatle or third member of Wham. You're the best. So,
I mean, you're the guy saving lives.
That's right. That's right.
Doing my best. Been in a slump lately, but hey, I'm working on it.
Hey, Geoff, by the way, this man above me right here just hit 25 years protecting and serving our community.
Beautiful.
He is the man.
That is tremendous. Now that's Beatlemania right there.
Yeah. I mean, you should see when he drives by some of those homes. They scream at him.
Yeah.
I still got it. It's the mustache.
Hey, it's the mustache. So you're here, Justin.
You've been doing that. So then you've been doing that as long as I've been at Bengals.com.
Yeah, and I used to
25th season.
I used to get that Bengal Report publication that came out once every 2 weeks, and then I remember I'd go to my library and get the Sunday edition of the Post to read your articles. I mean, it was crazy stuff to get Bengal info.
Yeah, no, we were talking about that. PJ Combs, our longtime PR guy, he's in his 27th year here, but he broke in at the Cincinnati Post, and he was the Bengals Report guy.
He was
for many, 90, 91, 92. And when he was a kid, and now he's this NFL veteran. I think he's older than me now. I think he went by me. But
I guess I still have some of those copies.
It's amazing. Yeah, we were talking about that. How it's a different world,
It is.
Yeah.
I remember you writing for the Post. Like I said, I would go to the library and get the Sunday edition of the Cincinnati Enquirer or the Post because you couldn't get it delivered here in Florida. And just to get basic Bengal info that was a week old,
right? That's the way it was.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's the way it was. And you were doing more than most.
Yeah, I've always had a Bengal problem. That's why I'm on this show. Come on,
that's Mon's slogan. He's always doing more than most.
You know what? Honestly, I think we need to make that a bumper sticker, guys. I think we need to do that. I think we need to make that a bumper sticker.
Yeah, we can sell 3 of them. So
to ourselves.
Geoff, let me ask you this because obviously, and we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier about this incredible season that the trifecta are having. I mean, realistically, you could argue that Burrow and Chase and Hendrickson are the best at their position in the league. I would be more than willing to argue that those 3 are the top dogs at their position, and Burrow and Chase right now are, very realistically here. Now, again, saying that the season continues the way it is, but all 3, those 2 guys can hit the Triple Crown. Right. And my question is, obviously wins are important, but if these 3 guys continue their pace, especially Burrow and Chase, do they have a shot? Do they have a shot at being involved with the end of the year awards? I mean, obviously they're all 3 having all-pro seasons, but we know the Bengals sometimes get snubbed when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, this is, I don't see. Yeah, I think that probably, particularly in the NFL, it is very, whoever wins wins. You know what I mean? It's you never see a guy, you never see an MVP. It's always a guy from the top seed or the second seed, which I don't understand. In particularly in baseball, like I think if a guy is having just an unbelievable year, then he's the reason his team is whatever it is. It's like if a guy in a 500 team, they wouldn't be in the league for this guy. I mean, that's really valuable. You know what I mean? And then there's the other end of the argument. Well, but they don't win anything, and this guy put him over the top. And I don't know. I just, because it's kind of it was the Roger Clemens debate. A pitcher, the team won the pennant, got to give the MVP, but there was debate on, do you give the MVP to a pitcher? Because he only pitches because he only plays every 5 days. I just think in the Hall of Fame, and this is the problem with the Hall of Fame too. In the Hall of Fame, there are too many good players from great teams in there, and not enough great players from good teams or bad teams. It's So unfortunately, I don't think they're going to do it. They'll both be. Certainly Hendrickson and Germaine would be all-pro, and I would. Burrow is certainly having an all-pro year. Will he get that over? He's got a tough road to hoe. There's 2 all-pro quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
That's a tough, with although I think he's, look at Lamar's numbers. He's got great numbers. To me, it'd be Lamar and Joe would be, right? I mean, if you go just off strictly, but what about Goff? Goff's been unconscious. His team's his team's probably going to be the top seed in the NFC. So, I just see it's going to be a tough. But here's the thing. Though, if Joe, because that voting is done late in the season, that doesn't count the playoffs. So, maybe who knows? Maybe not. Maybe this could very well happen. The Bengals capture the fancy of the nation. And they get hot. They've won 4 or 5 straight. Guys get their votes in at the end. Maybe that could do it. If he keeps doing it at this rate, because maybe to have a shot if it looks like they got a shot at the playoffs. But I think it's unfortunately I think it's stilted the teams that go to that win that top seed or second seed. It's the same thing with coach of the year. The coach of the year is usually the coach of the year is a guy who's the best coach is a guy who's taken a team that wasn't expected to do anything and contends, rather than a guy who's winning with a great team. To me, that's not. To me, the guy who's coach of the year is a guy who's doing more with less.
I think more than any of them, Joe Burrow is the heartbreaking one, right? Because I think I read somewhere the other day that the only other quarterbacks that have been in this situation right now, this part of the season, were Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Patrick Mahomes, and Tom Brady. I'm talking about numbers-wise, like where Joe sits.
Yeah.
But all of those guys that year won 13 games, 14 games, 15. I think one of them was Brady's undefeated season. You know what I mean? So it's just heartbreaking for Joe because – he's having an incredible year, and it's getting overlooked.
I mean, it's a top 10 year. I mean, of all time. I mean,
I would.
Go ahead.
No, I just one last point. I would say I would disqualify Jared Goff because he threw more interceptions in one game than Joe Burrow's thrown all year.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yep.
Mon's got a question he wants to throw at you. We've been waiting for you here.
Yeah, real quick. I'm sorry if I got in late here. If this has been touched on, I'm sorry. Jeff, real quick, you did mention something. A coworker of mine was talking about the Bengals the other day. He doesn't like the Bengals at all, but he told me, he goes, they're the funnest team to watch in football. He's talking about all the primetime games, and he's so excited about watching a Bengal game. And I just thought that was funny. I'm like, well, it's not fun for me. But listen, I'm really excited about players like McKinley Jackson, Chris Jenkins. I think they're really developing. I think they're playing better each game. What about some other young players over the last few drafts, like Dejon Anthony from this recent draft? What about a Tyson Anderson who's really done well on special teams? Could they get some more snaps in that defensive backfield to potentially help our defense out? Fig Newton played really well the other night. Could we see more of a youth movement?
This is something, Mon, that you hear you hear chattering out there about, well, their players aren't good enough. And I just think, I mean, I saw these guys in training camp. I saw them play in preseason. I just think they're young players. I like their young players, and I'm with you. I mean, I think Newton, I thought, had a really good training camp. And unfortunately, their 2 best corners are out for the year, DJ Turner and Dax Hill. And Josh is going to have to play, and I think that's good. I mean, I think he's a tough guy, plays the run, and he's Lou Anarumo was talking about this the other day. Great mindset. He's not going to let you beat him. He's a really hard-nosed guy. So I think he's a guy to watch. Number 28. Anthony hasn't been able to get on the field. I'm not sure why. I think he's he was good enough to be playing in nickel. He was good enough to play in the dime package early in the year. It hasn't seemed to have much time since the Kansas City game. He's made a couple mistakes on special teams, but I think he's a guy. I mean, got a lot of potential there. They're clearly on offense. They're trying to get Burton the ball. I mean, Burrow is, he's trying to, every big situation seems like he's throwing at him.
Yeah.
So they believe in him. I mean, I think he just needs. I think he just needs I just think he needs a game where he gets 5 catches for 50 yards and gets a touchdown and then gets that under his belt, because he's kind of he's looking for the I mean, there's no question he can make a big play. He's just going to get probably more consistent in getting open. But I mean, he's a guy I think they think once he gets some snaps under him, is going to be a big time player. But I think to your point defensively, I think the kids they've drafted, I mean, McKinley Jackson and Chris Jenkins Jr., I mean, I think they've been solid. I mean, I think they need more help there, obviously. I mean, Chris isn't really, Chris McKinley Jackson, he's more of a nose tackle, but I don't think he's a true nose tackle. They could use a true nose tackle. But I think Jenkins and Jackson I think they've shown that they're going to be contributors. So, I mean, I'm with you, Mon. I think they've got a lot of good young players. I think we'll probably see a lot of them just because of just because we're at that point in the season. And I think Tyson, it seems to me, Tyson's an interesting guy because he's been terrific on special teams, and it seems like that's where they want to use him.
Right.
So, but yet again, I think, he's you got to remember too, he lost some time with an ACL. But another guy to keep an eye on is DJ Ivey, who they really were high on, 7th rounder down around your way, 7th rounder from Miami, and he played well. Right before he got hurt last year, he'd only played in 8 games, but they really liked the way he, reacted to the ball. He had good instincts, and he hasn't played many snaps this year. He just got back off his ACL, really. I think he's a guy, number 38. I think 28, 38, 33. I mean, these are young guys I mean, I think they're going to be good players. I mean, and they're coming in under the gun, It's always, December, 3 division games, winter go home, really, the rest of the way. So that's going to be fun to watch. I think those guys are good players.
I think they are too, and I think we can make a run. You guys were talking about that earlier. I really think this team can make a run. They got to win a game they're maybe not supposed to win, and we lost a game we're not supposed to lose, and I think they can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, tell me a game they can't win down to in the remaining stretch here. With Burrow, you can beat anybody, right? Which I think is.
I think realistically, Geoff, I don't think anybody wants to see us in the playoffs. I mean, I think if you ask the Chiefs and the Bills, even the Ravens, if you ask any of those teams, what's the one team you don't want to play in the playoffs? It's probably the Bengals. I mean,
I don't think they want to see us now.
Yeah.
I don't think they want to see us now. I mean, they know. I mean, they can look at they know. I mean, they're watching these primetime games. And they know this team's they've lost 6 games by a score. They know at some point that's going to turn around, and they don't want to be the team when it does turn around.
You know who wants us? You know who wants us in? ESPN, CBS, NBC. Yeah. They want us in because the Bengals are ratings gold. They really are. And and no Netflix. We don't want Netflix. We want to be on regular.
They're here though. They're here, Mon. They're here. They're here. They're ready to go. I was just telling them, I was just telling the guys before they came in. I'm going to be writing a story for Monday on how they're coming into they're doing the AFC North Hard Knocks.
Yes,
and that's going to
be greatest story ever told.
That's going to be hard to watch for me. I'm not going to lie to you. That's going to be hard to watch.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah, but each episode is going to come after a Bengals victory, so it's going to be fine.
It's it's interesting because the Bengals were really the team that put Hard Knocks on the map that 2019.
That was great. Yeah. That was great TV.
Yeah, and I'm gonna
great TV.
I want to try and write a story on that 2009 team at some point this month. It's 15 years ago. Probably my favorite Bengals team of all time. 2009.
Cedric Benson. What a shame, man.
Nobody thought they were going to do a damn thing, and they swept the division.
Yeah.
Yes, they did. Yes,
and every game it was the opposite of this year. Every game they won, unlike the last play.
Yeah.
Was that the same year that Sid Benson went crazy against the Bears? Did he play the Bears that year?
Yes.
He did.
Yeah, he went for $189, and that was, I just saw that. Saquon Barkley had 176 against the Giants, but he didn't beat Ced's record for most yards against your old team. Because Ced's
that's cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, 189 against the Bears. Still, I salute the late great Ced Benson.
That's right. Geoff has data. It's not always Jay Morrison. Geoff has it too.
Jay Morrison's the man. I'm just reading his stats.
Listen, that is too that year, that 2009 year. I mean, obviously as Bengal fans, for as long as we've been, there's been a lot of heartbreakers, but that year, I'm with you. Like, I thought that was the team, and that playoff game was just, oh my goodness, it was so hard to watch that game. It just
the Jets. They kind of got exposed a little bit that game, because that was that was obviously a team that was overachieved. I thought, but
that was Lavernius Coles. That was a Lavernius Coles game.
I mean that was a Bengals team that was fueled by the defense and special teams and the running game, which is probably why it's my favorite team. But that playoff game, it was windy. I think Carson had a few balls that he probably would like to head back. I think the 2 missed field goals.
Yep.
And Darrelle Revis, let's face it, he took Chad out of the game.
Yeah, he did.
He
was so good.
Ced had a great game. Ced ran wild.
I think he went for he went for $1.69. Still the playoff record. Still the Bengals playoff record, I believe.
The Bengals were leaking oil a little bit towards the end of that season, but yeah, you're right. But that was a fun season.
That was a tough. Remember, Mike Zimmer's wife died. Chris Henry died. I mean, it was an emotionally, Chris Henry died right in the middle of the playoff run.
That's right.
Very draining.
That's right. And it wasn't that was week 1. That was the walk-off game. Was that Stokely's walk-off against us?
Well, that's right. That's exactly right. That was
that was one of the worst losses in Bengals history. That was just
might be the worst. Yes, I would.
But the next week they beat the Packers, and that stunned me.
Yes,
in Green Bay. That's exactly right. Yep. Antoine Odom had the 5 sacks. Right.
That's right.
Yes.
It was. Carson outdueled Aaron Rodgers. And I think Woodson picked Carson twice. I think
he did.
But they survived. Maybe 31-24 something. But that was a huge. I always count that as one of the biggest games. That's one of the biggest games in Bengals history. I think. That
did we have a late? We had a late scoop and score too in that game, didn't we? Like a real late.
Too. That sounds.
No, that was a different Packer game. That was that game was in Cincinnati. That was who's our cornerback, number 23. What was his name?
Oh,
I think that was a different season. That was a different season when that happened. I think Dalton was quarterback that year.
Talk about the 5 interceptions, though. Goff's 5 interceptions. Brett Favre only got picked off 5 times, and it was in Cincinnati.
That's right.
That is right.
That was the game. The guy ran on the field.
He took the ball from him. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, 5 interceptions and a fumble.
Yeah.
Crazy. This reminiscing about a game that we lost 15 years ago just makes me, as the optimist, I'm fast forwarding to 15 years from now. Yeah. You're on the 17th season of the Bengals Pulse, and we're reminiscing about that epic turnaround the Bengals had in the Super Bowl win. So we appreciate you staying on a little bit later. We got one final question to get you out of here, and then we'll kick you out of here. We couldn't ignore this because I know this is near and dear to your heart. We just found out, I think yesterday, that Willie Anderson is once again in the top 25 for Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And this should be the year that Ken Anderson gets in. So we wanted to hear it from you. Is this the year that both of the Andersons finally get elected to the Hall of Fame?
It's that senior committee is tough. Well, they're both tough. They're both tough to get in. But I think Willie really made great strides last year. So fingers are crossed. He came really close. So it's hard to be seeing him getting so close and not getting in, but fingers crossed there. The senior thing, it's a different gig every year. They've got a new committee. They've got a new senior committee with a few new people on. I think they've added a historian, which I think is good for Kenny, but it's kind of a new makeup. And with that, you have new people with new agendas. Kenny was in the final 6, which if you get in the final 3, you're pretty much going to get in the Hall out of that senior group. So I'm hoping he gets into that final 9 here, which is going to be announced in the next week or 2, and then we go to work on that. But it's that's really hard because every year it's a different agenda. It's a different. It's tough. I mean, some people think there should be more defensive players. Some people think there are too many quarterbacks in there. Some people think, it's the all-pro teams, the all-decade teams that count. So you guess you got a lot of constituencies that are in there. And so, but I just, Kenny's got the best argument, I think, of any senior out there. Certainly a quarterback. I mean, he's the best quarterback not in the Hall. And, so I don't know. It would be tremendous if both of them went in at the same time. But, it's amazing when you can get in just one. So let's see what happens. They're both obviously deserving, as are there several former Bengals are deserving. You can start with Lamar Parrish, and you can talk about Corey Dillon, and you can talk about Isaac Curtis and Max Montoya and Tim Crumry. There's no dearth of worthy people.
Agreed. That would be great. I mean, that would be just gut-wrenching if we don't get at least one of the Andersons in this year. I mean, they're both so well-deserving, and obviously, like you said, Kenny, I mean, how do you not have Kenny in? He's like you said, he's the best at the top position that is out there. It's just insane that he is not in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, it's, you make the argument. That's all you can do, right?
Right. So let me ask you, Geoff, I know you got to get – I got to ask you this really quick, though. Mon and I are big Reds fans. Terry Francona, I'm very excited about
I'm excited, too.
I'm very excited. Tell me and Mon, how excited should we be? Should we get our hopes way up? I mean, this is a great young talent.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's a winner, man. The guy's a winner. I mean, they give him the people. He'll win. Tremendous clubhouse guy, a relator of guy. We can relate to players. Was a player. I think he's got a really good feel. He's got a really good feel for a game and a team. But he'll also, he also won't shut out the analytics guys. But he also won't go to bed with him either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He will not. He'll manage the game. It won't be managed for him 3 hours before. So right. I think which is happening far too often today. I mean, Jesus, you look up and it's like they're playing another game. He's like the guy is managing a game like a Stratomatic. So Terry, Tito won't do that. I don't think. And he's tremendous. There will be. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but there'll be a Terry Francona story here soon on Bengals.com.
Right.
It will probably be. I'm trying to get him. I'm trying to get him around Cleveland week because he managed the Indians. So
yeah.
But he helped out a struggling scribe struggling young scribe in 1984 when he was playing for the Expos and Pete was playing for the Expos, and I was working in Binghamton, New York. They sent me down to do a Pete Rose feature because he was chasing 4,000 hits with the Expos, and Terry Francona, he was my age. Good, we just started talking in the clubhouse. Just an extremely friendly guy, engaging, and he saved my ass that day. He gave me a lot of good Pete Rose stuff, and I've always been indebted to him. But we're the same age, and it was always great to the greatest manager in Red Sox history. So
he is. I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, I got to say something real quick. I know we're talking Boston and all that, and about your Celtics. My Sixers have the worst record in the Eastern Conference. I just want you to know that. I'm really upset that the sports gods don't like me this year. And can you make a phone call and tell your Celtics to take it easy on my Sixers? I would really appreciate it.
Hated the Sixers for a long time. Boy, my mother couldn't stand the Sixers. Boy, she did not like the Sixers. That's for sure. But
I don't like them right now either. I'm with her.
Havlicek stole the ball, right? Was that the – no, was that against the Sixers? I don't know. No, I don't. Yeah, well, it had to be Hal Greer, right?
I just listen. I remember the '80s, early '80s. Mo Cheeks, Andrew Toney. They were really the team. Dr. J, obviously.
Yeah.
We had Daryl Dawkins for a little while, and they brought
Andrew Toney was the Boston Strangler.
He was. He could shoot. He could shoot. I remember Trags would talk about that. But yeah, I'm not having a good sports year. My Mountaineers stink, and it's just tough. But
that's a tough one. Did they fire their coach, the Sixers, or somebody?
No, the Sixers not yet. But they've only won 2 games, and they spent a lot of money on these players. I just can't figure out the NBA. But I guess we'll find out after Christmas, really, about the NBA. But
you're gonna get no help from me. You're gonna get no help from me, Mon. We gotta.
Well, you know what? You're still in the Bengals Pulse Hall of Fame. You're in the Bengals Pulse Hall of Fame.
Listen, he's year 1 Ring of Honor for us. He is year 1.
That's very kind of you guys. That's very kind.
Eric, get a plaque. Eric, get a plaque ready. Okay.
All right. One like this. Maybe Heather can make it for him.
Make sure it's not the one for my. Just make sure it's not the one for my tombstone.
Oh yeah, no.
We'll get you a nice jacket. We'll go down to the thrift store. We'll get you a jacket. Have a whole
beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful. All right, boys. Let's go.
Jeff, thank you so much, man. Listen,
thank you,
and we appreciate it. We know you're busy, and hopefully, the next time we talk to you, we are talking to you after Eric's idea of us making this run here. So, Jeff, thank you as always. You are the man. We appreciate you so much. Thank you, Jeff.
Right, thank you very much. I think Eric is going to have to get his script to Netflix. So
they may already. I'm a big conspiracy guy, and I feel like they've written this already. The script's already out there. We were talking about who would play Jake in the story of his football team. So you gotta tell us who's gonna play Geoff Hobson in this story, because you're gonna be the guy writing it out there.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah, someone who died 3 years ago. I don't know who that
is. Come on, you're a cool guy.
Jack Klugman. Jack Klugman, but I think he's gone. Oscar Mayer.
Man, we
thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Right,
appreciate it. See you soon.
Stay healthy. Stay healthy.
Have a good holiday.
You too. Good day.
Thanks, guys.
That was awesome.
He's hilarious. I had to throw him from Boston. So he's a Celtic fan. I'm jealous, man.
He's the best. Jeff is the best. He is the best.
Hey, so we didn't think that we were going to have Mon. So Jake and I were kind of like, we don't need to do any predictions. Just throw that all out the window. What has it gotten us so far? But we got Mon. We got Jake. You guys want to do some impromptu AFC North predictions?
Yeah. Just give us the games here. Let's.
Tonight, I don't even know. We got one tonight.
Yeah, we know tonight, right? Mon, why don't you go first? Browns, Steelers.
Prime time.
Who you got?
Browns are a bad team. Playing in prime time. They will upset the Steelers tonight. I'm not saying. I mean, they shouldn't, but they will. It's a primetime game. 24-21 Cleveland Browns.
You know, I saw somewhere that I read this today. The Steelers are over in Thursday night games or primetime games against AFC North teams. They are over. I think they're like 0-7 against AFC North teams. It's either on primetime or it's on Thursday nights. I'm not sure which. And I agree with you. I think the Cleveland Browns, this is their Super Bowl tonight, and they win this football game. I'm going to say Cleveland. It's still going to be close. I'm going to say 24-21 Cleveland beats the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Eric?
So I'm not predicting that. I mean, this is AFC North football, and it feels like the Browns always have the Steelers number. The Steelers always have the Ravens number. We're not going to talk about the Bengals, but a few years ago we had everybody's number. But so I do think the Browns could pull it off. Famous Jameis, man, he gave some heck of a speeches at FSU to get him that championship. And he's a leader of men. You say what you want about a lot of things he's done and playing without his LASIK surgery. He's able to motivate people and get one moment out of them, and that could be the moment. We go from rooting against this team just last week to now having to root for them. The Chargers play the Ravens on Monday Night Football. Mon, who do you got? Mon, you're muted.
Dog, sorry. I'm not trying to be salty because the Bengals just lost to the Chargers.
Do it.
I really think they're overrated. I don't think they're that great of a team. I really don't. I think the Ravens are a much better team. Playing in Los Angeles is going to be hard. I think the Ravens are just a better football team. I think the Ravens win it. I think they're going to win it 31-28. I just don't believe in Herbert. I really don't. He beat the Bengals the other day, had that great first half. He was giving that game away to us in the second half.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, we had our little issues. I like the Ravens. I feel really comfortable with that. I think the Ravens are going to win 31-28.
Yeah, I don't. I'm with you, Mon. I'm just. It's so hard to say it because they beat us, but I don't think the Chargers are very good either. I just don't. I agree with you. I think their offense is not good at all. The Bengals defense is just historically bad this year. I don't think this Chargers team has a chance against the Ravens. I don't. I'm going to say Ravens. I think this might be the first time I picked them. I'm going to say the Ravens win this game. I'll say 27-17 Ravens over the Chargers. We might be
onto something. Maybe you need to pick them every week because you've picked against them every week and they come out and win.
No, they don't. They're 7-4. I picked four times right.
Okay. Oh, okay. So you're saying that you were wrong 7 times? So because you've only been wrong once in your life, but you were wrong 7 times.
I'm not going to take the two. I'm not going to take the 2 Bengal L's because the Bengals had both those games won. I'm not taking those 2 L's. I'll take the other whatever it is. I'll take the other.
So I will say one of the things, Lamar's got these amazing numbers that everybody raves about, but he's got the highest percentage of wide open throws, completion percentage on wide open throws, because his wide receivers are always wide open. The Chargers defense was the number 1 defense going into that game with the Bengals. I think that their defense is going to take away those wide open throws. And it's on Lamar then. Can he make those tight window throws, or is he going to just rely on his legs? He can win it with his legs. I don't have belief in the Chargers, I've said this last week, scoreboard watching is what it is. There's nothing we can do right now. We just need to win games. So I don't have faith in Chargers, but I hope they pull it out. We'll see where that goes.
Listen, Germaine Pratt guaranteed a win next Sunday. Germaine, I'm sticking with you, bud. I'm going to go with you. You said we're going to beat the Steelers. We're going to beat the Steelers.
I'll tell you this.
I guarantee that. Sorry, Mon. I guarantee we win the next 11.
I'll tell you something right now. They are going to go all in for a major win against Steelers. They know that right there is the season. They know it.
Yes.
They know they go all in. They win that game. They keep on improving. They have some very winnable games. They can't let up, though. They can't screw up and let a team that has no business beating them.
That's
But
right.
they got to go all in, play them Steelers. They're going to play the Cowboys on Monday night. That's still going to be a tough game, but they can do it. 1 game at a time, but it's going to be all Pittsburgh this week. And they know it's the final battle. If they don't win that, we're going to start talking about the draft.
I agree. I'm with you, Mon. That's a great point. And thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We obviously want to shout out to Geoff Hobson one more time for joining us. Thank you so much, Geoff. We appreciate it. Hopefully we come off this bye week healthy and the Bengals do make a run at it. We will be back next week sometime. We'll make sure that we let you guys know what is going on next week for the obviously for the upcoming bye. But we will throw that out to you guys next week. As always, guys, if you like this podcast, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you check us out on all the awesome podcast platforms, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify. As always, if you like this podcast, make sure you give us that 5-star review. We very much appreciate that. As always, follow Mon on Twitter at @TheFireMon. Follow me on Twitter at Coach Jake Owens 9. Follow Eric on Twitter at eFlash with 2 H's 88. Follow the Cincinnati Podcast Network at Cincinnati Pod. And as always, guys, follow the Bengals Pulse on Twitter at Bengals_Pulse9. On Instagram, the same without the @ Bengals_Pulse9. And as always, guys, check out all the awesome podcasts right here on the Cincinnati Podcast Network. He is Mon. He is Eric. I am Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse. Hoo day, Bengal fans. We will talk to you soon. Enjoy the bye, guys.